Salutations fam, this is DarkslayerArim here, and today I'm going to be talking about gacha games, and more specifically, what makes a good gacha game. Gachas are a subgenre of RPG games where you recruit units by spending in-game currency to pull units from an RNG-based pool. The niche of the genre is that no two players will have the exact same experience playing the game. Because each player will likely summon units in different orders, if not different units altogether, players will be having the same adventure, but each player's experience will be unique to them. A free unit is a unit that is obtained outside of the summoning system. So right off the bat, when I talk about whether something is good or bad game design, I'm talking about the overall health of the game. I've been playing and observing gacha games long enough to see many go bankrupt and be taken off the market, and I've seen many continue to thrive after years, and I've noticed some common trends. Now this point may seem like common sense, but how often you can actually play the game is going to impact your ability to get invested into it. A huge factor into whether or not early players will stay interested in the game is how invested they can get into it. If they're forced to stop playing because they ran out of energy, it's likely they won't care enough to come back to it later. In recent days though, I haven't seen a game that actually has this issue. But it was an issue in the early days of Brave Frontier, so I thought it was worth covering. Units will typically follow a rarity system. The higher the rarity, the stronger the unit. However, in some gacha games, summons will inherently have less value because of this. In some gacha games, rarity is fixed, and in others, all units can reach the max rarity. A tier list existing isn't a mark of how good a gacha game will be perceived. How important the tier list is will be a mark of how good a gacha game is. A common criticism of gacha games is when you can't play through the majority of the content in the game unless you get lucky and pull one of the higher rarity units. Whereas in a properly balanced gacha game, you'll be able to use whatever units you want provided you understand the mechanics of the game. To clarify on this, if said gacha game has a kind of rock, paper, scissors element system as most of them do, you should be able to use your invested scissors unit to do well in a fight against a paper boss. You shouldn't have to use a specific scissors unit. Let's say you were watching another player's run of a boss fight. It shouldn't be about what units they're using, and more about what roles and strategies they're using. There should be multiple units at multiple rarities that can fill certain roles. Your success in the game should be based on your understanding and execution of the game's mechanics. Due to the amount of time required to invest into a proper team in most gacha games, your unit should be able to stand the test of time. If units take 2 months to build but become obsolete in 6 months, then that's bad game design. How good are the most tedious aspects of the game? Is farming strenuous and inconsistent? The less tedious these aspects are, the more you will be able to enjoy the game in the long run. Auto battle helps tremendously in this regard. The less you have to indulge yourself in that tediousness, the more you will enjoy playing the game. The more you have to put yourself through that tedious grinding, the more likely you're going to just get annoyed with the game and not want to look at it. Most of the big gacha games nowadays have stories that are comparable to console games. In gacha games, how much attachment a person can have with a character is a large driving factor in how well a gacha will do. Appealing designs are one thing, but the actual character interactions are what will cause players to love the characters, and in turn, want to summon them. On average, how long does it take to be able to summon units in the game? Typically, after clearing content in the game for the first time, you will be awarded currency that can be used to summon new units. For the health of the game, it is important that the ratio isn't too off balance. If it takes too long to gain currency, and in turn, people are unable to summon consistently, people will stop playing the game. However, a lot of gacha games mitigate this issue by having a summoning system that uses a different currency from the main currency, but you will typically only be able to summon lower rarity units using this feature. So in summary, what makes a good gacha game? A good gacha game is going to be one that gives you incentive to continue playing the game for a long time, while allowing each player a semblance of flexibility in how they play. Players shouldn't feel forced to avoid using units that they like, as each unit should be able to fill a role on a team. Players should be rewarded for playing the game over long periods of time, and they should be able to enjoy summoning often. If a player never feels forced to spend money on the game, they will naturally come to want to spend money on the game. If the game does a good job of giving robust characterization to units, players will want to summon those units and add them to their ranks. On top of this, there should be ample content for players to enjoy with their units in the first place. If a player feels like there's nothing to do in the game, they'll stop playing the game. And with that being said, that's all I got to say. This has been DarkslayerArim. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.